Hey, I'm Samuel. I'm from Brazil. Yes. And by the way, in Brazil we speak Portuguese, okay? We do not speak Spanish, but we love being part of the greater Latin American family. So we have lots of fun when with our friends. And in case you ask why I'm here alone, because Thiago offered to play soccer against the Mexicans after, all right? So he will. But we're here to represent South America, and there's a lot of things that we resonate with many of the things that you guys have said, because we're just part of the same reality, actually. And we do have South America coming up here. Thank you. So you give me that time. One of the things that you can one of the things that you can always give to Brazilians and South Americans are time, because we're not time driven, we're relationship driven, right? I have an American friend said, I go to Brazil and we're talking to Brazilians, and don't we have an appointment right now somewhere else? Yeah, but we're talking, so they can wait. So that's why you came just before the Americans, to make Americans freak out with time, right? Yes. All right. So as they're finding our PowerPoint, so I'll keep talking here. But South America is actually interesting, because if you notice, we have the guys from Central America, and we have Will from Bolivia and his Bolivian wife, because he's Brazilian actually, but in Brazil. And it shows a little bit of what has been going on with the South America and Latin America. We've been the last one to get to the parties, right? To the conversations. But I do believe that we have a lot to offer, and we need to be heard, but also we need to hear as well. So I think that's part of something that we need to be aware of that's been going on in that part of the world, in Latin America. I like this story, from that we learned from our African friend Desmond Tutu, when he says that if you see people going down the river, we should not only keep going on and bring them out of the river, but also ask why have them been falling in the river and prevent them from falling into the river. And I think that's part of where we've been missing in Latin America and South America as well. Part of the biggest challenge that we can see in the South America reality is that our kids are we are literally losing a generation right now. The average of our area of the world is around the 30s, 30, 32 years old. As do we have it here? Ready? It was sent to two emails, just to Janet and Taylor. Both of them have it. But we have lots of our kids in a huge crisis of identity. Brazil is well known for a very happy country, but also we're going through becoming one of the most depressed and anxious country in the world. There's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression going on in our part of the world. It's also the same. We've been talking how it's the same for South American parts of Latin America as well. And there's a crisis of identity, gender identity and everything. And what we see is our kids are longing to be loved. They're longing to be accepted. And they have seen identity as their gender, all that resonates with that is a way for them, is a exchange, a currency of exchange for love. So they want to be part of something. They want to be loved. And so they will be anything. Their truth is what works for me, please. Is what does work for me actually is what makes me feel loved. And if I feel loved, that's working, and that's my truth. That's my reality. So their perception of reality makes them do not believe there is one reality, but that is the one that works better for me. And what works better for me? What makes me feel loved? And why do they do this? Because we have a huge rate of families destroyed. One single parent family, and families where they're being abused in the house. And even within the church, many people are trying to get a better lives. And so to do that, both father and mother, they are working hard. They don't have time for their kids, and they get home stressed, and they don't have a good relationship with the kids. During the pandemic, there was an explosion of divorces in Brazilian families, and as a result, these kids are more anxious, more depressed. They go to schools. A few weeks ago, in a middle class school, private school in São Paulo, one 13-year-old girl committed suicide in the school restroom. So that's going on all over. Teachers are suffering and how to, relate with their students, and it's coming to church. So there's created a huge illusion versus truth battle in our country. And they're looking for something, some answer, and they're not looking for the church because they see the church as part of the problem as well. They look at the church as the ones who created that problem in Brazil. Why? Because first there is a fragmentation within the church. Second, because the church do not talk into the culture. They're just trying to repeat what they've learned 50, 60, 70 years ago, and they're not being able to translate the gospel to the new generation. We have not been able to do that. So the question is, what do you want to do? We want to help these kids to understand that their identity comes from the place where they can find true love, and the true love is Jesus Christ. So we can only do that if we show them by teaching them the gospel, but also by helping them to understand that reality comes when you meet with Jesus, because Jesus is the source of the real truth. Jesus is the way that you not meet Jesus because of him. Yes, that's the main thing, but also when meeting Jesus, you will get everything else figured out. So to do that, we also need to demonstrate by having communities, healthy communities as family, churches that will provide healthy families, training the kids, preparing the kids to grow and to feel loved. If their family is destroyed, we need to provide families that will welcome them, embrace them, and be role models that will tell them, hey, it's worth it. It's worth it to be, to be in a marriage, because there is an example. There is, could see Masao and Regina, and you can look at them and say, hey, I want to be like them. And that's how kids react when they see that kind of environment. They ask our kids, I would like to have a family as yours. So when it happens, they feel loved, and they feel that there's a way, there's a truth that they can look for, so that our church can and should be providing that. Also, we need to show love to the world by serving, by talking about the real issues of the world, the big problems that our country is going through, poverty, environment, and so many other problems, and say, how does the Bible respond to that? And our question should be, what can we contribute to the world? Brazil, well, this year, sorry friends, but we're going to have a world champion. It's going to be Brazil, right? We have for years exported our soccer players, our artists, and I do believe that when these guys leave Brazil with the gospel and use soccer, use art, and use so many other things, use businesses to go to the world, they can be role models that will share Jesus wherever they go. Once in a while you have some of them, but it's not many, so we need more of that. We need athletes, we need artists, we need businessmen that comes from this new generation. But you also can contribute with more Luke and Sarahs, right? Yes?
Brazilian missionaries, explain.
They got it, man. If they didn't get it here, right? We have so many kids that are in love with Jesus. They're in love with, serving God and want to learn and want to serve. They just have the chance. So we can, is it here? Awesome. Finally we get, right? So, well, I think it's going to, there we go, okay. Well, it survived this far, we're good. So we want to have a movement of leaders that will be in fire with God. There will be passionate by God. We have experience with the Holy Spirit. That we have experience with the gospel. That we go deep in the gospel, and we want to send them in whatever capacity they can to the whole world. We want to send our kids to Ukraine. We want to send our kids to the Middle East. We want to send our kids to Europe. We want to send our kids to the whole world, because we know that Brazilian can connect with people as nobody else can. And why is that? Because we're not many cultures to get with the others. You just get all cultures and make something different. That's all. You know, we're not like, we do create something new because we love mixing things up. You know, and if you don't understand that, you create new kind of food, new kind of music, new kind of anything. Because when people get to Brazil, they just get married and something new gets out of that. So we want to send this kind of culture to the rest of the world, because Brazilian can go there and can sleep anywhere you provide. They can eat any kind of food. They can be friendly with anyone, and they can talk about anything. And they use that to love people and to share the gospel. And that's what we want to contribute to the world. But what do we need from the world? We need you guys to understand that wherever there is something beautiful going on, but there's challenges. We need training. We need mentoring. We need people who will be able to spend your time to train our businessmen to become generous, because we do believe Brazil is feeding great part of the world right now. And we need to teach that kind of wisdom so that our businessmen will go and will be partner with the American church, European churches, and South African churches to invest in missions wherever you go. So we need training for that, for entrepreneurship, to theology, good theology, sound theology. And we need people who will say, hey, we're together with you to help send the new generation to preach the gospel to the rest of the world. So it's part of what we're doing in Brazil. We need to have more South Americans in the conversation. We need more Brazilians in the conversation, because when that happens, we have a lot of learn from these people. So thank you very much, and let's do it.